Hey, what's up? It's Michael here. In this video, I am starting a new series, another new series, where I randomly pick a comic book character that's more of a realistic type character to draw. In this one, I love Batman, so I went on and I picked Batman for my first one. I've got several others on my list right now, but anybody can add to the list. If you have a suggestion, leave it in the comments below. This is his grappling hook, the bat hook, I guess you call it. And from there, I branch out to his arm in what I call a dynamic foreshortening mode. And I put his head in, and you'll notice his shoulder is actually, it's like it's dislocated, but it's the way that he is in such a motion. And I know it sort of looks weird if you think he's sitting still, but if you think about him being in motion, it does work out pretty good. This first stage, though, I'm just penciling in a light sketch. And I knew I was going to ink it later, so I didn't want to go into a really detailed sketch. I mainly am doing a whole lot of foreshortening in this, though, and that was I started off wanting to, I was just going to draw him standing on the page, like most people would do, and I said, you know something, I don't want to do that. I want to show him in action, and so I said, oh, I'm going to go for this extreme dynamic foreshortening picture, and that's what's going on. Here I'm drawing one of his batarangs, and the extra tails on it is just showing it in motion. I believe at this point I'm about done with the pencils. I'm actually using an electronic eraser and then a shoe brush to go over and wipe off the eraser marks, or the leftover eraser. And there I'm doing the details on the grappling hook a little bit better, so I'm fleshing it out mainly, and same thing for the batarang. And cleaning up a little bit more and all of that again. If you're wondering, the piece of paper to the right of the art is a piece of tracing paper, and I just lay my hand on that if I'm doing especially graphite or charcoal drawings, so that I don't smear the pencils. I drew his cape, and I worked on that a little bit and reworked on it a little bit more and all, but you really can't see the way that the cape is coming out until a little bit later. At this point I'm starting to ink, and you can actually on the video see it much better than the pencils. I'm very pleased with that fact, but the pencils were done really lightly. And I'm actually blackening in parts as I go, and I'll go back in a second and actually work on I'll work on everything basically with a pen brush. This is it's basically the same thing as a micron. It is a I can't think of what it's called, a zip pen or something like that, but it's a cheap knockoff of a micron basically, and I actually believe that Micron, the same company, makes the two pens. But you can see here I'm starting to blacken in most of him, especially with the pen brush. I love pen brushes, they are awesome. And there you can really see how his shoulder is so much in motion, it looks like it's really coming up over top of his head, and it's trying to show an angle. And the reason I fill in a lot of it black is to show shadow, and when the light hits his costume, the part where the light hits the most is going to be solid white, or the color of the paper, because it's just the costume reflects the light, and it's like a big, one of those big reflectors you see that people put in their car window or something, and it just shines real bright. I'm getting tongue-tied. So at that point I went on and I drew in his cape, and there I am putting in his legs, his other leg, and then going back to put in his other hand. And you'll see here his other hand, it's actually in motion, and you'll see that simply by me putting in a little trail line of the batarang here in a second. There. I go back and I fill in, darken up some of the lines on the other things as well. And I start my Batman logo, and I will go back and touch on that in a minute. But at this point, I wanted to make his cape darker where it's shaded, or where the shadows are, but I didn't want it to be solid black and blend in with his arm and his glove and all. And to prevent that, what I ended up doing was I went back and I darkened in the outer side of the cape, or the outside of the cape, and the underside I actually left a little bit lighter. And then in a minute I go back and I actually fix that as well to where it looks better than it did at this point. I went back and I darkened up the actual batarang that I was going to be, was the main one. And then at this point I'm actually erasing all of the pencil markings. And there I went in and I darkened in that part of the underside of the cape again. And I'm just touching up a few things here and there, adding a little bit more shading. At this point I thought I was done, and I said, wait a minute, I got a little bit more. So I went on and signed it, and that's my new style of signing. And at this point I am just filling in the Batman logo and actually going to draw something on it. And I believe that's about it. See you later.